Blackout Beats.
Hello, all you awesome people out there. Welcome or welcome back to Geek Business Entertainment. I am your host, as always, Hoover, and we are back with yet another little mini impressions video here. I didn't just watch it, I actually watched it quite a while ago, but I just watched The Last of Us Season 2, and we are here today to talk about just that. Of course, it is the second season of HBO's TV adaptation. There we go. Of the acclaimed Naughty Dog video game, The Last of Us, the second season. So we're gonna talk about my thoughts, things I like, things I didn't like, kind of the overall vibe of the show, kind of how I was feeling, and all of that good nature stuff there. So we're gonna check all that out here today. But of course, before we get into it, I'll ask you check out some. If this is your first video for I Just Watched It, still I have like what 4 more on the channel. We talk about Paradise, Hulu series, the most recent season of Invincible, and also Daredevil Born Again. And then we also talk about some movies like Captain America Brave New World, Sinners, and Marvel's The Thunderbolts. So we talk about all that good stuff there. So check out some of that other stuff. Check out some of the other stuff I got on the channel. We got video game walkthroughs. We got news drops where I talk about the news from the big 3, and I just also released a video going over Summer Games Fest. So feel free to check out all that good stuff on the channel if you are interested in that. But anywho, that is it for all of that. How's about we go ahead and talk about this The Last of Us here today. So of course, before we jump into it, we got to start with our good old fashioned overview. So The Last of Us aired from April 13th to May 25th. That is available on HBO Max or whatever the hell they calling themselves nowadays. The show was written by Craig Mazin and Haley Wegren Gross. The episodes were directed by Craig Mazin, Mark Millard, Peter Hoare, Kate Herron, Stephanie Williams, Nina Lopez Carando, and Neil Druckmann, the man himself. And of course, the series stars Bella Ramsey, Pedro Pascal, Young Mazin, Isabella Merced, Gabriel Luna, and Caitlin Dwyer. Now, I do realize for like a while, I might have pointed this out already, but a while ago, I was pronouncing Isabella Merced's name wrong. I think I was saying Merced, but it's pronounced Merced, so there you go. So, all right, let's talk about a little bit about the story of The Last of Us Season 2. So, Season 2 of The Last of Us actually picks up about 5 years after the first season. We continue to follow Joel and Ellie as they navigate their new lives as a part of the Jackson, Wyoming community. Not I read what I write. I think they might have changed the name in the show, but I'm not sure. But an outside force puts them on an emotionally charged collision course. Of course, now this is an adaptation of something I am very familiar with, and this is going to be a little slightly different because I knew the story going into this. I knew how things were going to work going into this season. So this I just watched is going to be a little different. So just to kind of talk about just kind of my thoughts on the story, this adaptation overall, I do feel it flowed a slightly better than the game, but slight spoiler, I guess, if you want to call it spoiler, because the game is very old about this day. It's hard to even say that because of the way it ended, which spoiler alert, I'll say it now, I didn't fully like too much. Now this one didn't have a fully original episode like a season 1, which is a shame because that one was like one of my favorite episodes of that season. But there are some slight differences here in this one. One is the introduction of, I don't think she called herself a therapist, but I'm gonna call her a therapist for simplicity's sake. Whose name was Gail. She had one of the best scenes of the show in a session with Joel. She was played by Catherine O'Hare, which was really cool. But yeah, she had one of the best shows in the game. Now some things are enhanced or expanded upon. Like Jesse, for instance, he was given a lot more And we got more on like the relationship with him and Ellie, especially with the whole Dinah situation. Also, episode 3 was I know it's not everybody's favorite episode. I will admit I am a little bit of a fan of like I'm a fan of like a big slow burn. It's not that bad for me. I kind of seeing things kind of slowly ramp up and slowly kind of get into it. So I know episode 3 probably wasn't a lot of people's favorites, but I liked it. I like sort of seeing the resolution of dealing with Joe's death a little bit more. By the way, spoiler alert. I guess. Um, it was a very slow episode though, but it was nice to see. Especially because in the game you did have it, but of course it's a game, so they didn't want to spend too much time there because it's a game. It's more immersive, so you're more in it yourself as opposed to watching it happen. So in the game it happens, but they kind of gotta get past it pretty quickly. I do like those showing in the show. But let's kind of talk about some things that I liked in the show. So I don't know if I mentioned this in my review of season 1, but I like that they introduced the stalker type of infected. Like I said, I don't know if I mentioned that in my season 1 review, but yes, there were actually 4 types of infected in that first one. There was the regular runners, which are just people who are infected and they just run at you, and then there are the clickers and the bloaters. Those are just the ones that showed in season 1. But there's an in between, a runner and a clicker, and it's the stalker. That's a little bit more intelligent, and they use that one in this one. They use it as kind of like a subplot of the show to kind of like show that the infected are getting smarter. It seems like that's kind of what they were using it for in this one, which I like. If that was the intention, I like that they waited to introduce it in season 2. And they're using it as more of a plot device as opposed to just another form of it. But yeah, another thing I did like was speaking of season 2, I'm glad that they got that out the way quick and they didn't drag it. In my notes, I have it kind of mentioned to avoid it, but I kind of said it already. So so yeah, but y'all know what I'm talking about, the big Joel. The big Joe moment. That shit happened in like episode 2, so I like that it happened so quickly. Because I feel like if you're gonna get it out the way, let's just go ahead and get it out the way, quick. Just have it done. So I like that they didn't drag it on. They didn't kind of try to play with the anticipation, and they just got it over with. I mentioned my favorite scene was with Joel and Gail. They were in a therapy session when he was trying to talk to her about how to get through to Ellie. That was a really great scene. It showed off some of it in trailers and stuff, but that was a really, really great scene. But another one was Ellie and Joel on the porch when they were beginning to mend fences. They played that off in the game too. They didn't introduce it till a lot later. But I still enjoyed it. It was still a really great scene. Pedro Pascal is great. Now they did change the way Ellie learned about Joel's lie. This was something if you watched season 1, you knew it was coming. I didn't love it, but it was a nice change. Of course, in the video game, she pretty much just directly finds out about it. Because she went back to the hospital in the video game, and that's how she figured things out. In the show, they sort of act as like she has these doubts, and it's weighing on her. And then Joel has a moment where he kind of lies to her again and lets her down, and that was just the moment where it really kind of just solidified to her. So like it was an original plot. It's surrounded by originally adapted scenes. Like I said, it's not a fully original episode, but it was a fully original plot and moment and scene. So I like that at the very least. That they use that for that reason. So that was pretty cool. Like I said, I like the original one better when she actually goes and figures things out. But this one was a pretty cool thing too. It's to sort of let her come to her own conclusion with all of her doubts. All right, let's talk about some things I actually didn't like in this one. And I kind of mentioned it. I teased it earlier, but I'll mention it here. But the ending, honestly, And I, by the way, I called this too. I called this so early. I called it. I think I mentioned it in a news drop when we were talking about how they kind of might be teasing the fact that we might get a fourth season of the show, and I called it too. I called it verbatim. Um, and but I still didn't like the way it ended. Um, so, but yeah, I called. I said They might do season two. It's just gonna be the Seattle stuff, all from Ellie's perspective. It's all Ellie's adventure, in Seattle for season two. And then I mentioned how season three was going to be all of uh, what the fuck is her name? Abby's. All of Abby's stuff from Seattle from day one, and that's exactly what they teed up at the end of the season. Um, it didn't feel like a cliffhanger. I feel like that's where they were going, but it felt like to me like they were just starting another story and then ending. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to the end of a chapter, and you could have stopped there, but instead you read like 2 pages ahead, and then you decided to stop reading for the night. I'm like, why didn't you just stop at the chapter ending? Like I feel like you could do that in a game because as a player, you either you could just pick right up and play when you're ready to continue the story. But for this as a show, we know we're not going to continue the story until they are ready, until the damn show is shot and edited, and then they release it. You know, so I feel like ending it when they ended it was weird. I feel like they should have just cut. After I might get into a little bit more spoiler stuff, but you know, it's hard to kind of gauge like what's a spoiler. The game is like what 7 years old at this point, maybe older than that. But I get that the show is new. But even the show, I think I'm safe because the finale is like what 2 weeks from now. So I guess it's fair. I guess I'm clearing my I'm clearing my goalposts for spoiler safety. So there you go. But yeah, when Abby arrived at the theater and realized it was Ellie and these were the people from when she attacked Joel, it cut the black like a gunshot. I feel like you could have ended there. I feel like that might have been that was a better tease for a better cliffhanger ending for the season. And then the next season we pick things up. Then you showcase the fact that we're jumping back to Seattle day one, as opposed to us knowing that's where we're starting now once we get into the next season. I feel like that would have been a better ending. But you know, that's just me. Now, while there were more infected this season, there were more infected this season. It was a lot slower, I feel, than season one. Not only that, it was also I lost my word. It was shorter too. There we go. It was shorter too. I think it's like 3 episodes shorter than season one was, maybe. But you know, that might just be me. But I think it was true. It is definitely shorter than season one. A few moments where things felt a little dragged on, which is weird that it had to be split in two. I feel like if you would have made this like a good 13 episode season, you could have got everything you were trying to do in this one season. But no, instead they decided to just kind of split up. Which, like I said, it's weird that it feels like this one was slower and things might have dragged on when they literally split it across 2 seasons. So that's a little weird. It might also be a little hypocritical that I say I like the slow burn stuff, but mention how this season is a bit slow. But I'm human, you know. What are you gonna do? That's just how I feel. All right, all right. I think that's it for what I like and what I didn't like. For a little small note there, this is funny. Did I talk about this in like the video game stories? I don't think I talked about it in a video game story, but Tati Gabrielle, she's in the show. She plays Nora in the show, one of Abby's friends, and who Ellie is going to look after. She's in the show, right? Now it's cool because she is also going to be playing the next main character in Naughty Dog's next game that they released at the game that they showed at the Game Awards, the Heretic Prophet. Intergalactic Heretic Prophet, I think is what it's called. She's in this too. So okay, my bad. Fucking motorcycles outside. All right, she's in this game. She's in this game too. So I think it's really cool that she was in the show. They kind of had her involved in the show as she's doing her recordings or finish up her recordings for whatever stage you're at for the next game. Um, I did want to mention there's a little side note, has absolutely nothing to do with the show, but they talk about how Neil Druckmann kind of put her through like she's basically like getting like fucking therapy fucking lessons, getting like social media practice because of the backlash that happened when The Last of Us 2 came out. You know how it goes. Real just online loser ass activity where, the Joel stuff happened and with Abby and people were like coming after the characters. They went after Laura Bailey, who was the voice actress of Abby in the first game, and they were like just online harassment, just real, just lame ass nigga shit. Like for real, just for real, just chronically online loser ass shit. Like they was like threatening her. They like talking shit about like her baby who was like not even born yet, and they're like talking shit on it. It was just like real, just loser, lame ass activity. So they kind of were like preparing her for like some shit like that for when the next game comes out, which again is like just fucking just lame ass shit, bro. But that's the world we live in. All right, so kind of talking more about the future. Like I mentioned, there is going to be a season 2. I called it in my last news drop. Season 2 is going to be all Ellie's story. Season 3 is going to be Abby. Like I mentioned, they are teasing that there is going to be a possible season 4. And like I said, I think that one, if they do that, I think that one will be that time skip in that whole Arizona section when after the theater, there was a little time skip, and Abby and Dina were like living on a little farm with a new baby and shit. Again, I'm wondering if this is spoiler. I wonder if this is spoiler territory. But whatever. So, but seeing the reactions to episode 2 and how viewership dropped after it, season 3 is going to be a very interesting season. Maybe even a make or break season, especially if they do plan on going 4 seasons for the show. If Joel's gone and it dipped, then and then if the third season you literally take away everybody who's left, even Ellie, for another talking point I guess for this season was everybody talking about Bella Ramsey's performance as Ellie. I don't know, I didn't mind it too much. That's literally it was kind of literally how they kind of wrote Ellie in the game. She's that whole caricature of like she's just an annoying ass teenager in this season. So, but whatever. Hey, I've been seeing it. I don't want to talk about it because I didn't have too much to offer. I didn't hate her performances. I didn't love it. I do feel that when Pedro wasn't in it, might have showcased it a lot more if the show can actually work with her carrying the show itself. But at the same time, Isabella Merced, who played Dina, was phenomenal in this as well. So I feel like that kind of made up for it because she was fucking great in this too, which I don't feel like I've seen a lot of people talking about too much in this either. But yeah, that's me going on a tangent. So so if you take away everybody from this season, and now in the next season you're following Abby and all the people who kind of took part in that shit and all the other stuff, it's gonna be very, very interesting to see what the reception to that season is going to be. Like my granny watches the show. She didn't know it was based off a video game, but she got into it herself. And I'll talk to her when I finish the season. And yeah, she does not like Abby. So I'm really gonna use her as like a it's kind of like a more like a person I can actually talk to who doesn't have the connections with the game and really get their opinion on how they feel about the characters in the show, especially when season 3 rolls around, to figure out like if she's feeling it, if she even stuck around to actually watch the whole season, if we're following Abby the whole time. So I'm really gonna kind of gauge her to kind of guess kind of what the tip is going to be overall. But yeah, so I don't know. So if you get the whole full, if season 3 is literally gonna be full of ops from this previous season, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. It's really gonna be interesting to see if anybody's opinion actually changes once they kind of get to know Abby a little bit more. Because I do feel like um, familiarity and sticking with a character is what works so much in these things, and that's why like people get attached. And when shit like that happens, there's such a visceral and like genuine backlash and concern when characters are taken away because you follow them and you understand their story so much. So I wonder if that what happened with Abby, or people are still going to be so hung up over the fact that she killed off Joel. It's going to sort of not have a lot of people sort of change their opinions. Like me, I'm a weird case because I understood. I knew from the very fucking moment in that final mission in the first Last of Us, and when they announced the 2, I'm like, well, Joel's gonna die. Like that motherfucker's going to, especially like me, because I was like, I understood what he did, but it was an insanely selfish decision. And I said it in terms of in terms of both Joel and I forget what her name was, old girl from who ran the Fireflies. Both of them. The fact that they didn't leave the choice up to Ellie at all was wrong for both of them. But even like when she told Joel, even if you did give her the choice, we all know what she was gonna do. She even said it in the show. She was gonna go through with it, just for the fact that there might have been a chance for something. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what people's reception is. Like I said, I understood it. That's why I didn't have a big reaction when they off Joel, because I knew it was gonna happen. When you followed Abby for the rest of the game, I also didn't have too much of a strong opinion because I was like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. She did have some of the best moments in the game, so I'm kind of excited for that, to see a lot of those moments appear in the show. So again, it's gonna be super fucking interesting once we roll around to season 3. But all right, but overall, let's kind of just talk about my overall thoughts and feelings on The Last of Us season 2. So overall, The Last of Us continues to be a very decent adaptation of the source material. Maybe a little too faithful this time around, I feel, which I know kind of sounds weird, but honestly, I do kind of feel like they could have done a little bit more with the damn thing. You know, a little bit more original stuff would have been pretty damn cool to see a little bit more of that. That Bill episode, like I mentioned, was a highlight for me last season, so it's sad to see that they didn't do more with that this time around. The show is slow at times, and I will admit, overall, it is a little bit of a step down from last season, but it is still good. Of course, I'm not gonna have the same reaction as most people, especially people who didn't play the game, knowing everything that's gonna happen, including in the next season and possibly the 4th season as well. But overall, I did enjoy watching the series. Like, I very rarely binge shit to my own detriment, because I tend to forget to get back into the shows. I binged this whole fucking season in like a day because I was just very interested. And also pretty much I was doing like I was like retwisting my hair, which is like a fucking 3-hour process. So I had time to do it. But I sat down and binged the whole season. I really enjoyed watching it. More Infected was a good call. They definitely needed more of that from last season, and I'm glad they brought it in. There were some decent original plot points. Like I mentioned, the introduction of Gail, that therapist. That whole story with her husband and Joel, and how it sort of led to the initial rift with Ellie. I like the subplot of the infected getting smarter. There's also like a little subplot of like they were like burying underground and using like the bodies of dead ones as like insulation against the cold for the winter. So again, all that shit was very interesting. And there were like some legitimately like great performances. I mentioned it earlier. Pedro Pascal is just great the whole time. Honestly, Catherine O'Hara comes in. She also does a great job. Also, I don't know what the fuck it is. I recently looked back on like season 1 Just a couple episodes, just some recaps. This fucking series somehow has a fucking great track record of bringing in like known celebrities for like one fucking episode, or sometimes even just a damn scene, and they just kill it. I mentioned like Nick Offerman as Bill in that one episode from season one. Tess from the first season, even though she was in like maybe 2 or 3 episodes, she was great. The people from Kansas City, the brothers from season one, I can't remember their names right now. All great. This season continues that. Like I mentioned, Catherine O'Hara came in. She did a great job. I can't remember. I don't know the actor's name who played her husband. I can't. I don't know his name, but I know his face. He has like that face. He was in like the Matrix as the guy who betrayed everybody in the Matrix. He was in there as the husband. He was great in that one moment. They had the actor who plays the swordsman in the Hawkeye, and he was in Daredevil Born Again. He played Joel's dad in a flashback. He was great. I don't know what the hell it is about this show, just having people come in for one episode or one scene and just knock it out the park. But that also extends to just the season as well. Jeffrey Wright continued to play. He played his character he plays in the game. He was great. Isabella Merced, like I mentioned earlier, phenomenal job as Dina in this series. Straight up. Even young Mazin, who plays Jesse, who I remember just being a very solid, interesting character from the game. But in this one, like, bro, I might have been sadder about what happened to him in the show than I was in the damn game. Because he was fucking great in this season. And like all these performances just really shine through. Like I mentioned, the ending does fall flat for me. I feel like they could have cut out a little earlier than what they did. And like I said, despite it being shorter than season one, it felt like it was also kind of a little longer, a little more dragged out. That fight at the start of the season, in like that second episode, was great. Unfortunately, it didn't really feel like anything else really kind of lived up to that, which it shouldn't have, to be honest with you. But even in terms of like the anticipation and the weight of everything going on, I feel like that could have also been matched in another episode. Even like the final episode, I feel like kind of didn't really hit that hard. Even like the point where Ellie got to the point where it was kind of revealed that she's kind of fallen too far, or she's gone too far. Even I feel like that didn't hit as hard as the game, and that might be one of the things where it's a detriment for watching it as opposed to experiencing it in the game, because you play it as the player, you literally go through all this yourself, from all the combat encounters, all of the scavenging, all of the all the fighting, all the stealth sections. You literally go through all that, and you kind of see her fall further and further until it finally gets to that point. And it feels like it's been like such a long journey to get up to that point. In the show, it didn't really feel like that, because they kind of truncated it all to like, it all kind of was truncated in like, what, 3 episodes? 4 maybe? That whole adventure was? Because the whole thing's like, what, 8 episodes, and she ventures off in episode 3? So yeah, it might have been like 5 episodes. So you might think that's like enough. But it still didn't feel like it was. And maybe that's because of some of the writing. It still felt like she didn't fully go all in there until it got to that moment where like she abandoned Tommy and Jesse. And I feel like they wanted that to kind of be like the moment that was like, it was finally enough to show her that she's too far gone. But it kind of didn't feel like that. So overall, I mean, if I were scoring this overall, I might give it like I can't remember what I gave season 1. I might give it like a 6, maybe like a 5.5. It is it's something like above average. It's kind of what I could think of. Like I said, it is a step down from season 1, because season 1 was great. And again, I shouldn't be surprised, because that's exactly how it is in the source material. The first game is a goddamn masterpiece. It's a goddamn masterclass. It's gonna go down as one of the greatest games ever. But but the second one is the second one is universally accepted to be quite a downgrade from the first one. Even a motherfucker like me, who's a little who's a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Diplomatic. I don't know. Like I'm not. I didn't fall into the online trash campaign that happened when the second one came out and when all that shit got leaked. I played the game and I enjoyed it, but I am aware very much that it is a step down from season 2. And for as much as it's not that deep conversation, is such an annoying one and also kind of a scary one. That shit does apply. That shit applies for The Last of Us Part 2. Like the revenge is a never-ending circle, and you gotta break the chain unless it continues. Like all that shit is like, we get it. You know, it's been that the story's been told a million gazillion times, and I feel like this one didn't really do anything to innovate on that message. But that's just me. I still enjoyed it though. So that is it. That is my thoughts on The Last of Us Season 2. Let me know down below what were your thoughts on The Last of Us Season 2, especially if you're somebody who's just familiar with the show and not familiar with the games and never played the games. That's really like the side I'm the most interested looking at their thoughts and reception, especially once Season 3 rolls around. I'm very interested to see what that subset of people think about. But of course, if you did play the game, feel free to let me know what you played too. Let's not jump back to when it launched and the big online crying campaign. Let's not do that. All right. The game is what? Actually, let me look at how old is the damn game. Let me see. Last of Us 2 release date. The game came out in 2020. The game is 5 years old. All right, let's accept it and move past it now. So let's accept it and move past it. It happened. We can't do anything to change it. The game already has like 3 goddamn versions of it now. Anyway, so there you go. But yeah, let me know what you thought down below. Like I mentioned before, check out some of the other stuff I got on channel. What y'all think of the music too, by the way? I got this little royalty-free music playing because I feel like sometimes the background vocals are just kind of dead. But let me know what y'all think about the music added in there as well. But anywho, that's all I had to say about that. Feel free to check out some other stuff. Check out the rest of the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. I very much do appreciate it. So everybody always remember to stay watching, to stay playing, stay awesome, and most importantly, stay safe out there. Especially if you're taking part in those protests. Especially over there in LA. Till next time, everybody, I'll talk to you later.